To get started with my crock pot carne guisada, I will be using salt to taste. Here I'm using 2 teaspoons of sea salt. I'm also going to be using 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, and I'm also going to be using 8 ounces of liquid, which include 8 ounces of water with 2 dissolved teaspoons of Better Than Bouillon beef base. Basically, it's 2 bouillon cubes and 1 cup of water. I'm trying to limit the amount of liquid I add to the crock pot because the meat will produce lots of juices and liquids, and ultimately I do want to end up with a nice gravy. And speaking of a nice gravy, I will also be using a slurry, which consists of 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour mixed into a half cup of cold water. Again, that might sound like a lot of flour, but the meat will release lots of juices, which will add to the liquid in the crock pot. And if you want to have a nice gravy at the end of all of this, you want to add this. I'm also going to be using fresh garlic and 1 small onion diced. You can mince all of these ingredients. I'm also going to be using some freshly cracked black pepper to taste. Now, typically in carne guisada, I like to use fresh tomatoes, but today I did not have any, so I'm using crushed tomatoes. And this is a 9-ounce container. I'm only going to be using about 8 ounces of this. Honestly, I like my carne guisada not to have such a strong tomato flavor, so that's why I'm scaling back. If you want to use more, go right ahead. And now for the star of the show, I'm using boneless chuck roast. This was a large piece of meat that I cut into 1-inch cubes, and I went ahead and soaked it in cold water for an hour and drained it just to rinse out any excess blood because we are cooking this in a crock pot and it is not going to be browned. So I'm going to add all of my ingredients into the crock pot, and I'll probably give everything a good mix before covering it with a lid. Now that everything is mixed, I'm going to cover with a lid and set my crock pot to high. I will be cooking this on high for around 6 hours. It has been 6 hours, and I stirred the meat during the cooking process a couple of times, but here is my delicious carne guisada, and if it looks like the meat shrunk a bit, which is actually normal, but my guys were super hungry and did not want to wait the full 6 hours and ate before I had a chance to finish filming, so this is what's left of it, but the meat is super tender, and like I said, the gravy is nice and thick. So I am ready to make me some carne guisada tacos. I hope you try this recipe, and I hope you like it, because I like to think this is a good place to start.